Hey guys, and welcome to another video by Predator War Robots. So today we're going to be looking at the Carnage Thunder. We'll talk about its design, a bit about how to use it and strategy, and then finish off with some pros and cons about the robot and the setup. So this is the Carnage Thunder. This is in the store. So this is level 1, and its stats are very unattractive as the health is really low. And the speed isn't terrible, it's still pretty fast. And as you can see, it's 13,000 workshop points, which is less than the Rhino. And just for a bit better overall look at it, I'll go to my Carnage, which is this one. It's level 11, level 12 ECC Thunders. And a bit about the design. So, it has a unique design. I think it almost looks like a dinosaur. I don't know if anybody else thinks about that. But yeah, and the robot has 2 heavy slots for 2 heavy weapons. And the front of it, the eyes and that orange line, as well as the back, that jet looking structure, they will glow and light up when you enter rush ability, which is pretty cool. And it also has a really narrow frame, and that's actually a good thing because it'll take less damage because of this, because the area of the robot's smaller, unlike the Lancelot where more damage can hit it. And that's definitely an advantage to using the robot. And there are no skins, just if you're wondering. So let's talk about the stats. Mine's not level 12 as I mentioned, but because I haven't got around to it, but it definitely will be eventually. So it'll go up to 114 health and 40 kilometers an hour, and that's decently fast for a medium robot. And the ability is rush, and when you enter rush ability, the speed will increase by 66%, which is a decent speed boost, and this could be used to attack enemies or maybe avoid taking damage. And just look at the Thunders. When you're at the closest point, the Thunders will do 16.4 thousand damage per shot, and there's 5 shots a mag, and then it's times 2, and that'll be around 164,000 damage. And that's actually a huge amount of damage for 1 mag by 2 weapons. That's definitely more than any other medium robot's max health, and even some of the heavies like the Natasha, Fury, Griffin. So it's definitely a huge amount of damage, and the maximum range is 500, but the closer you are, the more effective it is. So now I'll get into some video clips about this robot. Okay, so for this clip, this is on Dead City, obviously. And if you just look at the beacon bar and the number of players, it's quite close. And the number one thing to stay away from is trebuchets and just energy in general, except sometimes you're going to get hit, you can't really do anything about it, but you just want to minimize that. Wait for that guy to put his shield down and take him out. And I'm just trying to stay near cover the whole time. That golem, I know golems aren't the strongest robots, but I still don't want to charge him because I want to go within usually 150 to like 150 meters and below, because that's where the maximum effectiveness is for the Carnage. So I make my way down this side. This is usually what I always do. And then I can't see any big threats, so I keep moving up. And the shield, it's not a great shield, it doesn't regenerate very fast, but it does provide some cover. So this guy's plasma, so he's shooting at somebody else, and I don't think he knows it's coming, so then I come fast, and obviously you can see the damage is very strong. So this Fury, he does get a shot or two off, and I have left one thunder. But even one thunder, like you'll see here, like this is just one thunder, and it's like it's digging into the rhino's health. So this is on Canyon, and Canyon, Springfield, and even Yamantu, they're not great maps for the Carnage. And the number one thing to stay away from is, once again, as I said, trebuchets. So there are none that I can see, so I'm moving up. It's not a whole lot of damage from this distance, but it does something. Especially if you have Hydras on you, because they can't do a huge amount of damage, even especially with the shield. So this is another Carnage. And I think my Thunders were a lot stronger than his, because I just destroy him there pretty easily. Come here. And now I see a Lancelot, and Lancelots you want to stay away from with the Carnage. You'll never be able to take one on head. So I'm able to take out that Leo. So I'm trying to wait for this guy to pass and maybe shoot somebody else so I can get him from the side. Come out. I thought this guy was for sure going to shoot me, except then I was able to get behind him and take him. And the damage does sometimes lag, and that can be kind of a problem, because health is very limited on this robot. So once again, the Golem, not a great robot, but it's still there. Then I get close to this other Carnage Trident, and then from there it's pretty easy to take that guy out. I'm just looking around, making sure they don't have a Plasma Rhino or Griffin up there waiting to shoot. And the Jeopard, it's not even looking my way, so it's not a huge threat. So just some pros and cons of the Carnage Thunder now. And I put it into a nice chart here so that you can better see it. So it's very easy to maneuver, and the tower, which is its turning ability, can be very effective, especially against smaller stalkers and light robots that sometimes you like to circle around robots to avoid fire. It has a lot of firepower, as I mentioned before, with those double thunders. A huge amount of firepower. It's an understatement. And it's able to turn quickly, and that's part of maneuvering. And that's also why the Thunder Fury Thunder, you'd think that it'd be very effective with 3 Thunders, which is even more than 2. And that's just not the case, because the robot can't turn fast enough, let alone like walk and move around fast enough. So, but they also did it on purpose, because they don't want everybody to just run Fury Thunders and then wipe out the purpose of the Carnage. So the rush ability is definitely a huge advantage to the robot, as you can use it to attack robots and get close to them, or avoid Orkans. You can actually run away from Orkans, like backwards, and they'll usually miss you. And another pro that I didn't put on here was the energy shield, which stops. There's so many Orkans, Columbus, and Tridents. It just gives you that slight room for error, as you have a couple shots that won't hit you. And it's a good counter to Rhino, because I know there's not as many as there used to be, but there's a lot of Rhinos in the game, and Rhinos usually put their shield up when they start to get hit, and the Carnage has enough speed to move to the side of the Rhino, and then enough firepower to take out the Rhino. So some cons, clearly, as I mentioned, it does have very low health, and that can impede its ability a bit, because if you get hit, even a couple of shots by like some Tyrans or Magnums, that can still do a lot of damage, which is not good. And with the new, or the old new robots, the Camelots, The Galahad and the Lancelot and the Gareth, they all have shields, and the Lancelot's shield is so strong that, and it has so much firepower, you'll usually never break it unless it's already really damaged. And Galahad's, if you're really close and there's not really any other choice, I do usually try to break the shield off. And with Gareth's aren't usually as much of a problem, but while you're doing it, they can still shoot you and they can still get damaged. So that's definitely not a good thing. And it also has very little range, effective range, because it does go up to 500 meters, except you can't do much at that distance. So you have to be really close for it to be effective. So the next chart and the final one is how to use the Carnage and then what not to do with the Carnage. So constantly stay near cover. That's why maps like Canyon and Springfield, they're very open, and that's why parts of Springfield are good, because you have those industrialized areas, and then the farmland's bad because it's really open. And Dead City is very good for the Carnage. That's the best map for it for sure, because there's a lot of cover, and then you can pop out and attack enemies quickly, and they can't even react. So you can use your rush. Always use your rush to close in on enemies, because it'll make your thunders more effective. And I think that's the only real, thunders just keep getting more effective until you're right, a couple meters away from them. So you always want to make sure to use rush to do that when possible. So surprise your enemies. That goes with the other two. Don't let your enemies see you coming from 300 meters away right at you. It's a bad idea, especially because of the low health. So you want to do that. Keep moving. When attacking, you want to keep moving around so they can't get their shots off, and you have to aim better then and take them out. Or keep moving when you're being attacked. Like if a rhino is shooting you with orcans, you want to move side to side, not just go forward or go right back. Well, right back without rush, because with rush you might be able to avoid the orcans. And then what not to do. So shooting from plus 200 meters. This goes with this varies, because if a robot that you're shooting at has low health and you just want to take them out because they're like a Fury Trident and they're a threat to your team, then yeah, you want to do that. That could even be a 250 meter range. 200 should be okay. But don't be shooting from 400 to 500. That usually doesn't do anything unless the guy is basically dead and you just want a kill. And that goes with fighting long range too. Sometimes if a Fury has low health, I will shoot him from 3 to 400 if he's low health. But in general, don't do that with a lot of robots, because it's just a bad idea. And take that from me, because I've had experience with doing that. It didn't work out well. So targeting Lancelots, Galahads, etc. like Gareths, Rhinos, no, because they're not as quick and they have to put their shield down, unlike Lancelots, Gareths, and Galahads. Lancelots, those are just, don't attack them. It's a bad idea unless you have to. If you have to, move back to a 300 meter range or plus, where they can't hit you with their Orcans or Tyrans or whatever it may be. But you can, and because the spread of the bullets will go around the shield a bit. In Galahads, it's almost the opposite, where you want to get as close as possible if you have to engage them, and just try to blow off the shield, basically. Or if you can surprise them and get behind them, that'd be good, but that'd be very difficult. Gareth's, their shield isn't as strong. I think it's, I could be mistaken, I think it's 100,000 maybe. So that can be taken off. But that's definitely something not to do, is targeting those robots. And any robots from long range, but those ones even close range, it's very difficult. Especially if they have plasma, you don't want them to shoot you from 350 meters away. So that wraps up our video. And thank you for watching, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks, guys.